ladies and gentlemen. Excuse the squeak. I have a kind of silly mic arm that likes to make a bunch of noise anytime I touch it. But I know today is a late day, and I know I have been very hit or miss lately. Lots of scheduling issues, lots of real life stuff, lots of busyness. But I do not want to miss uploading, so I figured better late than never. And yeah, hopefully XUR has some decent stuff. So first off, for our lovely hunters, we're going to start off with the Oath Keepers. We have a archetype of Paragon, pardon me, with melee and super being our secondary and main stat. We have a base stat of 58, which is not ideal. And a tertiary in grenade. Let's see. Not terrible. I'm trying to think, what would you want on this? This might be one of the few exotics where you do maybe want weapons. But I'm not sure what archetype that would be off the top of my head. Something with weapons and super, or weapons and class maybe. And then follow it up with whatever your, sub-theme of your build is, if you're going with melee or grenade or super, whatever. Up next, we have the Triton Vice. We have a base stat of 60. We have an archetype of Gunner with weapons and grenade being our main and secondary stats. And we have a tertiary of class. Next, for our Titans, we have the Insurmountable Skullfort. Paragon is the archetype, and we have super and melee as your main and secondary stats, with health being your third. And we have a base of 59, which is, again, not ideal. Little on the low side this week. Our second Titan exotic are no backup plans. We have a Bulwark archetype, with health and class being our main and secondary stats, a base stat line of 60, as well as super being our third stat with 11 in that slot. For the Warlocks, we have the Crown of Tempests, a base of 60, an archetype of Bulwark, and we've got 29 health and 18 class for our main and substats. We also have a 13 in the melee slot. And this, by the way, before I just pass over it, is a very slept on exotic. I don't believe Arc is doing too crazy right now, which is probably why most people aren't really using it. But this is such a phenomenal build, both on prismatic and on static arc. And I definitely recommend you pick one up, make yourself a build, and give it a whirl. Cenotaph Mask, one of the more meta-leaning exotics. I feel like they nerfed it a little while back, and it might not lean so hard into the meta now, but it is still a very good exotic. We do have the base of 63. Oh, wait. Aren't exotics supposed to cap out at 62? Or am I tweaking about that? I know they are going to be updating exotics to have tiers in the next coming update, or at least some of them, I think. But I didn't know. I feel like they should still be capped at 62. No, I'm not sure. Anyway, we've got a archetype of Paragon. We've got a super and melee as our main and substat, with our third being weapons. This is a really solid exotic, and frankly, I might just pick it up for the sake of doing so. I'm just gonna store a few things. God, I have not been on here like I should be. I'm down to 4 strange coins. That's sad. Okay. Now, next, let's check out our strange offers. We have got basketballs this week, as well as enhancement cores, glimmer, and raid banners. And then for our gear offers, we have the Heir Apparent Catalyst. That's a rare one to get. Heir Apparent with the Catalyst is really strong. I don't know like what you would be using it in current time that would, you know, warrant going after it crazy. But as with all exotics, they make the, as with all catalysts, sorry, they make the exotic better. So if you have it and are able to go after it, I recommend always picking up every catalyst that you can. Malfeasance is another one that, oh, that's not Malfeasance, that's Lumina. Lumina is also a really solid slept-on weapon, and the catalyst makes it great. Queenbreaker is up next, which is a fantastic exotic. Lord of Wolves, again, I've said it before, I don't think it lives up to the hype. I think it is situationally good, but personally in my rotations and in my DPS checks and all that stuff, I'd rather use just about anything other than Lord, and I usually do more damage than people using Lord. That being said, it's not bad, and a lot of people will want you to use it, especially if they're talking about a Pantheon 2.0 coming up. Then you might want to pick up Lord of Wolves if you do not have one already. Last for our regular exotics, we do have Suros Regime, phenomenal AR, and I know they changed what you can like use your swap button to swap between the abilities now, which is really nice. Up for the last exotic this week, we do have a Hawk Moon. We got Full Bore and Surplus with a combat grip. I would probably pass on this one for me. The range is really nice. Surplus is okay. It's not my cup of tea personally, but to each their own. And combat grip is just not the grip you want to see on this gun. For our weapons this week, we do have Vulpecula. This is not the roll that you want on this gun, but it does have a extremely good roll. I think it can get explosive and headstone. I think that might have been the roll. So if he does ever have this with a roll like that, be sure to go for it. Next up, we have the Whistler's Whim. We've got Thresh and Opening Shot. Another gun where it just doesn't really have any synergy with itself. It's trying to do two different things with its perks, and really the only thing you want on Whistler's Whim is Kill Clip, if we're being honest. Up next, we have a Warden's Law. We do have realistically a really solid sticky PvP roll with this really good range. It's not adept, but if that doesn't matter to you, this is definitely worth a pick up for PvP if you want to give it a shot there. We have first in, last out. We do have, again, a really solid PvP roll here. Not perfect, but definitely worth a pick if you don't have a better slug shotgun. We have Targeted Redaction, which is a craftable weapon. Therefore, the rolls on it don't really matter, although this is kind of mid, but if you do not have it crafted, feel free to snag that. Aberrant Action is the same thing. The roll on it is not really fantastic, but it is a craftable weapon, and it is a really good craftable weapon. If you don't have it, pick up a few copies and go craft it. Next, we have the Interference 6. This used to be good back in the day. I don't know what the rolls are on this version, and I feel like there's one more recent version of it, but I'm not entirely sure, and it's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm not going to go and dig through the archives to figure that out. This roll is really not fantastic. Up next, we have Behringer's Memory. Again, not really a good roll. And lastly, we have the Heretic's Fervor. This is an okay roll. It doesn't have impact casing, which you do want, but this is a craftable weapon, if I am not mistaken, right? Or is it enhanceable? I don't remember if this was craftable or enhanceable. I feel like this might have been the season that they stepped away from crafting the seasonal weapons and everybody like freaked out, and then they went back to it. But the archetype is not really fantastic. The perks are half decent. It's not bad at all. You are missing out on some damage, but you do have Explosive Light, which is really good. So if you're just in a pinch and you really need a rocket launcher, or if you need a stasis damage weapon in your heavy slot, feel free to pick this up. I would check and see if you can craft it though, because I cannot recall. I know it can be enhanced. Let me see, this one will have a... Yeah, I guess maybe it's not craftable. Interesting. Alrighty, well, I do believe that wraps it up this week for our week at XUR. I hope you all are having a fantastic week so far, and a nice start to your weekend. Once again, I apologize for the schedule issues, but I hope you all have a fantastic week. If you're new around here, be sure to hit that follow button and turn on notifications before you go so you never miss a video. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, leave a like. Tell me in the comments something you'd like to see. Tell me in the comments something you don't like. Tell me in the comments something you do like. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you guys here next week, just like always. I love you all, and thank you for watching, and you have a good week, Guardians.